Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Movie Chain, brought to you by It's Okay Guys, We've Got This. My name is Itty and I'm joined by my co-host Baba.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Actually looking forward to this because somehow you haven't seen the film that we've chosen. So yeah, let's go for this.
Yeah. Before we go ahead, Baba, do you want to go through and explain what Movie Chain is to our listeners?
Okay, so Movie Chain is our new series where we review a movie and choose our next pick from the last letter of the title. So in episode 1, we chose National Treasure, just to start off with. National Treasure ending with the letter E. So for this episode, we had to choose a film beginning with E. And we asked you guys, and you came with quite a few suggestions, and one sort of rose to the top, for me at least, because Itty said he hasn't seen it, and I thought it was a film that most people have seen.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone who sent in their picks. We really did have a lot to choose from, and there were some that we would have naturally gone for, but as Baba mentioned, I hadn't seen the film that we're just about to review. Drum roll. Do you want to introduce what the film is?
Okay, so for this episode, we are going to review Edward Scissorhands.
Right, which is a film I've never seen before until now.
Yeah, so once he said he hadn't seen it, I was just like, well, we need to rectify this immediately. So yeah.
And to be quite honest, I'm surprised that I hadn't seen it until now. I guess it might have been all the hype behind the film.
I don't know if it's hype. I just think it's one of those films. Like it's just on every sort of, I don't know, Halloween or Christmas or something. It's just constantly there. Just constantly there.
It's not hype really. It's just high up on everybody's list. So I think it's just something I've kind of put on the I'll watch it one day kind of list. But yeah, let's kickstart this episode and give our review of Edward Scissorhands. Baba, do you want to go over the plot and then we'll just talk about what we thought about the plot of the film and so on?
Yes. So Edward Scissorhands. A film from 1990 actually. So in a castle high on top of a hill lives an inventor's greatest creation, Edward, who the creator sort of made himself, and he was in the process of finishing him, but before he could finish Edward, he passed away. So he's left with scissors for hands. Since then he lived alone. And it was only sort of found out by a member of the community who was trying to sell some makeup products. And just was like, right, I'll try this creepy house on top of a hill. Saw Edward, took Edward in, and that's the basic plot of the film.
Yeah.
So yeah, go with that.
Right off the bat, the first thing I noticed watching this film was it was nice to see that there were Avon reps pestering people even back in the 70s.
I didn't even think about that, but it was just like, yeah, this makes sense. I understand this. It's logical. You understand it, yeah.
Yeah. And also, just I mean, if you really think about it, the fact that this lady's kind of found this random boy and just completely just takes him in and just makes him a part of her family. That's quite insane if you really think about it.
It's pretty insane. Like everything about it is insane. Like his look is insane. The fact he has scissors for hands is insane. The fact that he, like you said, took a random stranger into her own house and family is insane. Yeah. And the fact that police are just like, yeah, we don't need to investigate this at all. What on earth? What on earth?
Also, the description, the plot synopsis that you just kind of went over, it sounded like a very interesting take on the classic kind of Frankenstein story, Frankenstein and his monster story.
Yes, definitely.
Where instead of getting a misunderstood monster, you get this this young man who just doesn't know anything about living in society with other people and all the different implications that has.
It's like a naive teenager or something.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, it's a very, very powerful concept, I thought. Also, as I love how in the movie, because he's got scissor hands or scissors for hands, I feel like this is going to be the recurring theme. It's like he's got scissors for hands. He's obviously tried to look after himself. So, things that we take for granted, such as, I don't know, like brushing our face or hair or whatever, he's got scissors for hands. So he ends up sort of cutting his face up. And naturally, he's covered in scars as a result of having scissors for hands. I'm going to do a counter of how many times I say scissors for hands. So when the Avon lady takes him in and tries to sort of cover up his scars with the makeup, I just thought, you know what, this has got the best tagline for this movie: orphaned punk kid gets an Avon makeover.
Or like YouTube clickbait or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
It's hilarious. It is literally like taking like a hardcore punk and bringing him into mainstream society and just seeing what how this person kind of copes with normal everyday life.
Yeah. It was quite funny just trying to see him adapt, basically. And just sort of failing. Just failing.
And the film, it's a Tim Burton movie, and
it shows.
It just had Tim Burton. Yeah, it had just had Tim Burton written all over it. And there's one particular scene. There's a scene where the family throw a barbecue to introduce the community to Edward, and there's a moment where he's kind of standing there while people are just making really kind of pointless small talk. Yeah. And all I could think of was also Tim Burton comes across to me as a very sort of private character. He's very, he just likes to keep to himself and doesn't really care much for mainstream society. In a way, he might be the punk kid that's in this movie. He may have modeled the character around his own personality. All I could think was, is this what Tim Burton would be like at a barbecue? Just kind of.
That's what you're thinking.
Yeah. It's you just see Edward sort of sitting there. He's kind of like, yeah, okay. So all I could think was, is this what has Tim Burton literally taken his nightmare and put it down onto a script and then put it up on the screen where it's just like, what would it be like to go to a barbecue, a normal everyday barbecue?
The thing is, for me, what got me in that scene is the fact that there was no sort of like fear from people. It's just like, yep, this is random new person just chilling. Like there was no sort of who is this guy? It was just like, yep, he's part of the community now. I'm like, what on earth is going on? It's crazy.
Never mind the fact that he has scissors for hands.
Yeah, it's just, oh my God, just madness.
Yeah. Something I found interesting about this film as well, like I knew that because I had never seen the movie before, I knew that he had scissors for hands. I knew like vaguely about the fact that he could sort of trim hedges and make fancy shapes and so on. Mm-hmm. But I didn't realize like that was his gift, the fact that he could just cut anything and make it look amazing. He could cut, what was it? He cuts a really hairy dog and turns the dog into effectively a poodle.
I swear it was two different dogs. Different dogs.
It was two different breeds. I was like, how can he... I'm sure you can't cut a Dulux dog's hair and get it to look like a poodle.
Yeah, so he did, what was it? He did garden work and then it went into cutting dogs' hair and then fur even, sorry. And then he made the move into hairdressing. That was quite funny to see.
Yeah,
it's just weird.
Another thing about the plot, it took a rather serious turn near the end. I mean, it's all
definitely
very upbeat as it goes along, and then it gets to the last 10, 15 minutes, and it just goes completely down a dark path. And that just caught me off guard there.
I feel like, it basically was like possibly PG. And then it went like to straight 15 at the end. I was like, okay. Okay, this is what we're doing. I think it just needed to remind you that one, it is a Tim Burton film, and just the sort of Marvel behind it. And like you said, sort of Frankenstein, like, who's the monster, sort of. Yeah, who's the monster?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
And not to get too artsy-fartsy about it all, but I like the whole metaphor of, this young man's been living in isolation. You feel bad for him. And, you're happy that he's kind of brought into communities, accepted by community, but then he gets the bad side of community as well when he's kind of coerced into breaking into somebody's place, and then he's alienized by everyone, and then he just ends up going back up into isolation because he's like, I don't want anything to do with people. Yeah. So that was like a really, really powerful metaphor in there, I thought.
Definitely. So who's in the cast here, Itty?
So cast-wise, the only people that I could recognize were Johnny Depp and Winona Ryder. There are some other cast members in there that I sort of recognized a little bit later on. For example, there is Caroline Aaron. She played Jonah Hill's mum in 21 Jump Street.
Who is she in this?
She's just one of the housewives.
Okay.
So like you wouldn't really
Oh, okay,
otherwise.
I was just seeing.
Yeah. So yeah, really the main names that a lot of people would really recognize now is Johnny Depp and Winona Ryder. I didn't know that Winona Ryder was in this film.
Really?
Obviously, yeah. No, I really didn't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I'm surprised that I didn't know that. Obviously, I knew that Johnny Depp was in there, and
yeah.
Was this basically his first sort of film where he really gets into a character and that has like an elaborate costume and so on?
I don't. Are you saying like this is like Captain Jack the Alien?
This is what set him down his path, yeah. Before he goes into films like Alice in Wonderland, Sweeney Todd, obviously Jack Sparrow and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Looking at it, it seems possible. To be honest, I reckon it's probably his first lead role as well. Take it back, might have been his second lead role. But with like you said, with the costume and the sort of weird persona, this probably was his first film like that.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
No. Yeah, it's just, I guess that's the benefit of watching a film like this for the first time almost 20 years later.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, so in fact, I think the version I watched was the 25th anniversary version. So I don't know if there's any difference between that and the original theatrical release.
Well, I think it'd be the same.
Yeah. So, visuals-wise, what did you think of the film?
Well, for me, I can't explain it. Like, I hadn't seen it in a while, but once I started watching it, just the beginning where you see like not the city, let's say the community with their coloured houses and everything. Like, it's like a model. Yeah. I can't even explain it. It's like an estate that you would go to just for show, just for retail, if you know what I mean. Like, you wouldn't actually believe people actually live there.
So
you had that, and then you had like the creepy castle, and like who I forget that. There's this creepy castle just up the hill. It's like people are okay with
just
this?
Perched up there, just looking very ominous. It's like we've got this really upbeat community, and then you got Dracula's castle kind of.
Yeah. Like when you look at it and like
everything.
It just goes dark and like lightning strikes and everything. It just. But for me, I can't explain it. It really reminded me of Batman Returns. I don't know what it is. It's just a sort of like real, like a sort of. It's possible that this sort of a community exists, but you wouldn't take it seriously. The same way that like the Gotham in Batman Returns, you can see that existing, but you'd be like, this is just weird sort of thing. So like just things like that. That's what I saw it. For me, when I saw it, you knew it was Tim Burton. There was something about it, just that sort of idyllic, weird suburbia life. Yeah.
Maybe he's going for the whole contrast between living in isolation in that sort of gothic setting and then coming down to this, like you said, idyllic suburbia kind of colourful houses, quirky attires kind of set.
Well,
set
apparently
up.
You're meant to see it, like the story's meant to be told through Edward's eyes, so that's why the city looks so weird. Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that. That's quite deep.
Yeah, that's what Tim Burton was going for.
And one thing I did pick up on, coming back to the whole colourful houses and the quirky attires of the housewives and the whole aesthetic of that whole suburbia, if something like this was to be made today, it would be animated and it would be made by Pixar, don't you think?
I thought that this sort of film couldn't be made nowadays. I don't know what it is, but I don't think, like, I could imagine seeing a trailer for it and people just be like, this doesn't make sense. Like, they'll just disregard it immediately. They wouldn't take to it at all. They'll be like, no, they've like, Hollywood's trying too hard or whatever. I think somehow the release time and the date, that sort of era, it makes a lot of sense. Just a sort of maybe gothic, is it even gothic? But just that sort of time, it worked then. Yeah, it really, really worked then. If they release anything like it now, oh man, I think it will get slaughtered. Honestly.
Yeah, it would have to be a Pixar movie, and it would have to be aimed to the kids, because that's the only way it's going to.
If it's aimed at the kids, they need to change that ending, son.
Yes.
Oh,
mind you, Despicable Me has some. I know you don't like Despicable Me, but I think Despicable Me has some of the themes relating to the end of this film.
I have seen Despicable Me once. I will not watch it again. I do not remember that film.
People, that's your cue. So the next time we come to a film that ends with a letter. In fact, we're gonna do a long con right now. All the movies that lead up from now on is inevitably counting down to Despicable Me, or a film that ends with D.
That's when Baba just goes on indefinite holiday. We get guest hosts. Oh my god!
Coming back to the visuals, also, when is it Meg, the lady of the mum,
Peg.
who picks Peg, not Meg, Peg. So when Peg goes into the castle to try and sell her amazing Avon products, the massive sets that they had with all the
figures,
the sort of garden figures, and then when you walk into the castle, just the everything was just massive and spacious. Even when you came down to the suburbia, it was all just very wide shots and very kind of. If there was a big room, there was only a coffee. Let's say in a living room, it would be a coffee table and a couch, and that's it.
You know what?
I'm thinking.
You know what I'm thinking? Like, went really under the radar here in this film. The big question of this film, which I don't think, what's it been since 1990? Yeah, no one has asked this question. How bad was Peg's financial situation for her to go to that castle, to knock on the door, to get no answer, to go into the house, to see no one there, and to go upstairs, see no one there again, and just to search around the house, to sell Avon products? What's going on in that woman's financial life for her to be like, I need this sale?
Oh my.
Like, what is happening? This is what's happening.
She's in dire straits. Also, like, again, coming back, as soon as she walks into that castle, everything just was screaming Nightmare Before Christmas to me. And it almost looked like I was watching it and thinking, was this Tim Burton's test run for Nightmare Before Christmas? And now that I've looked at it, Nightmare Before Christmas actually was released after this film. Yes,
and they originally planned for this to be a musical. So you could say, yes, this was like the test run, so to speak.
Wow. Because all the inventors' machinery and other contraptions that he had, I was just looking at it and thinking, this looks very much like Nightmare Before Christmas. I wonder which came first.
That's the thing. It also reminded me of, like you said, with all the figures and stuff, just the weird stuff you saw in Batman Returns. Is it Batman? Yeah, Batman Returns. There's just something about it. It's just that constant, like the black palette and just weirdness. Just weird.
Very desaturated, very kind of grey.
Yes, exactly. Man, Tim Burton
Also,
has a sort of niche down.
yeah. And something about this film, it reminded me of Matilda. There were
Okay.
some moments where it did remind me of Matilda. I'm spacing it now, but there was a particular scene that I was watching, and I was just thinking, wow, this reminds me of. It may have been just the way the characters were in Suburbia, how they reacted to things, and the sort of sets that they had in place.
Another thing about the Suburbia, just the fact that, like, obviously this was set in the 1990s where they decided to really emphasize the, like, not normal, but the classic gender roles where the men went off to work and the woman apparently just stayed home and gossiped. And there was one point where Peg brings home Edward and all the women want to find out who he is. And then, like, once they realize, like, all the men are coming home, they all sort of scatter, which I found quite funny. Just so ridiculous.
I actually didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's like they were all on the corner, and then, like, they see one car coming, they're like, oh, okay. Like, you know, the man's home, so to speak, and then they just ran home. It's like, wow, you sort of forgot about these. Like, yeah, this is what we do now. Jesus.
Yeah. And then moving on to the soundtrack as well. It was very kind of signature Danny Elfman soundtrack, wasn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, again, yeah, like you said, it reminded me of Nightmare Before Christmas, reminded me of Beetlejuice, reminded me of Batman Returns. Just a sort of, like, typical Tim Burton films. I don't know if that's, like, he gets Danny Elfman, it's like, mate, can you just do another one like that? Or whatever, like, what their plan is.
I think it is.
It's
so ridiculous. They are frequent collaborators. So it just makes sense that, I think it was very, very clear in the scene when the inventor's making cookies.
Yes.
Was it the heart-shaped cookies?
Yeah.
When he was making that, I was just listening to it thinking, this sounds very much like Danny Elfman, and it was. It is Danny Elfman, just who's been given the soundtrack to this film. It's very, he's got a signature style, just like John Williams and Michael Giacchino, and I'm sure there's one more composer that I'm probably
Zimmerman.
spacing.
Who's that? If I just made someone, Zimmerman. What's his name?
Oh yeah, of course, Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer. Yeah. There we go.
I think Hans Zimmer is just sheer magnificence. That's it. That's what he goes for. Is everything's just epic. It's just drums and lots of kind of trombones and whatever other stuff orchestras do. Rewatchability. Is this a film that you would rewatch?
I don't know if I'd. For me, it's a film that I like. Again, I need to forget the plot to rewatch. Like just once every couple of, I don't know, a year, couple of years. I don't know how long it will take for me to forget it, to be honest. It's just, I don't know. What did you think about it, actually, seen as it was your first time?
I liked it. It was, it had a great story. It was just all round, it was a really good film. Just in terms of the tone, the plot, and everything, but it's way too it's just slightly a bit too heavy for me to be rewatching this. I mean, if I was to rewatch this film, it probably won't be for another, I don't know, probably in the next decade. That's probably the next time I'll watch this. Not because it's it's bad or anything like that. It's just not the kind of film that I would just put on okay.
It's like, let's watch this again. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's no National Treasure.
Okay.
Also, I mean, another thing as well I forgot to mention about this film was, if you really think about it, not a lot happened in the plot. And that is something that's very kind of, that's like a signature thing of movies from the 80s, sort of early 90s era. Like, the plots were a lot more simpler. It wasn't jam-packed with a lot going on like the movies today.
Because, like, I remembered the main plot. And I remember getting through the film and I was like, wait, but, like, we haven't really started Act 3, and we're so far into the film now. Like, what's happened, sort of? It's just, just gets sort of lost in it. It just, no sort of madness where it seems nowadays you need action, beef, beef, beef,
explosion,
beef, 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 explosion, and then resolution. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
You know what I need to see also? We forgot to mention the douchebag villain in this.
Oh
film.
yeah, do you know who that douchebag villain is? By the way,
who is he?
He's Anthony Michael Hall, who is the geek in The Breakfast Club.
Oh, which
just
is another film I haven't seen.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus!
Until we get there,
I'm campaigning for that one so hard. You're watching it. You're watching it. You're watching it outside of It's Okay, Guys. You're watching it. You're going to watch it. I don't care.
I think Breakfast Club falls into the Scissorhands territory, which is kind of like
the hype.
It's just one of those films. Yeah, it's not the hype. It's really kind of revered. So I'm just gonna. I'm not gonna rush into it. I'm just gonna. I'm gonna watch it when the time's just right. It's like a rocket launch.
Fair enough. Like a rocket launch. What the hell?
Yeah. What else has Anthony Michael Hall been in?
He was in Community randomly. Was he in Community? Am I just making it up? I think he was in Community.
I'm calling bullshit.
He's in
just
Weird Science. I know. He's in Weird Science again as a nerd. What else was he in?
So he decided to play a 1970s jock in this film. He's like, I've had enough. I'm not going to be.
He was in 16 Candles, another John Hughes film. You should just sort of go through. John Hughes.
I'm honest. IMDb. I'm just having a look for it all. There's not much that he's in. Dark Knight.
Yeah, I've just seen that. I'm like, what? Where? Looking. I need to see that he's in. Oh, look, he's in Entourage. He was in Community. Yeah. Boom, Baba wins. Boom,
okay.
Baba wins.
So no bullshit
Baba
today.
Wins. Boom, Baba wins. Man, I've told this. I know just needless information like that. Like, it was in like 2 episodes of Community.
Okay, so just to touch on his character, the douchebag villain. I feel like I was really inspired by what you said on the last episode about how all the villain needed in National Treasure was patience is key. Can you give us a nugget of wisdom for is his character's name Jim? I believe.
I don't care what his character is.
Jim.
What I want to know about more, I'm sorry, but why is Winona Ryder with this guy? Like, he has no redeeming qualities. Every time that he's on screen is something negative. There's literally no redeeming qualities. That's the thing. That's what I don't get. Okay, fine. For him to do well, what he should have done, research more. He should have researched more. Yeah. If he researched more, he wouldn't have. His plan would not have failed. That's the best thing. Yeah.
So can you boil that down into a line?
Into a line?
Yeah.
Research more. Okay. No. Okay. When you want to, hang on. It's gonna be like, just scout the surroundings. That's what you need to do. Yeah, scout the surroundings.
Scout the surroundings.
Idiot. What an idiot. Why didn't you just look? Just look. He had all the time in the world. He's like, nah, I'm going to do this. Prick. What a prick. I hate douches like this. So
I love these. I want to say it's like Baba's wisdom, or I'm going to come up with a funky or a really catchy kind of term for this. But I am going to make an ebook. I am going to create an ebook with each of these lines for all the different villains in every single film we review from here on in. So we have Patience is Key for Ian Howe from National Treasure, and now we have Scout the Surroundings for Jim from Edward Scissorhands.
Just one idiot. He's a douche. Like, at some point, yeah? Like, sometimes it's like, okay, you know what? At least he did this. No! He did nothing good. Nothing good in this film at all.
In fact, well, you could look at it this way: the plot would not have progressed the way it did had it not been for his actions. Yeah,
probably would have. The town would have taken what's his face out by then, especially with that the like really religious lady. I don't know why, but she was just really funny to be. Just the way she was like you must.
I thought she was going to have a bigger role in this film, but she really didn't. She had a total of 3 scenes, and that's it.
And each time she's like, nah, I don't trust that guy.
So, what would you give this film in terms of score out of 5?
That's the thing. I had to look what I gave National Treasure, which I don't understand how I gave that a 3, but I gave that a 3. If we did if you did 0.5s, this would be a 3.5. But because we are not doing points, I'm going to give this film also a 3, which I feel sort of bad considering that's what I gave National Treasure. I should have increased what National Treasure was on. But that's life, and I stick by it. It's a 3.
I would actually give it a 4.
Really? What the hell did you give National Treasure?
I gave National Treasure a 3.
Oh wow. Okay. That's
because just because the plot it was a really kind of
different,
touching story.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a very it was a good simple plot. It just takes us through all the emotions of this character, and yeah, it was just a very touching story, especially the way it ends with the whole. Sometimes ever since he went up to the castle, it's been snowing is it for Christmas or just snows in winter?
I think it just snows, yeah. Also,
whatever it is, it just snows.
I just want to know, where's he getting these blocks of ice? Who's delivering? Who's like, which Amazon is existing back then for him to be like, yep, I need those big blocks of ice
it's
again.
It's Avon.
Yeah, it probably is, to be fair. Probably is.
Avon created bespoke ice blocks for him, and they just get it delivered to him, like, at midnight or whatever, when the suburbia is fast asleep.
What I wanted to ask you, is he immortal?
Yes, he must be, because technically he's just a machine. If you look at some of the scenes with the inventor, also I loved the sort of panning shot where they're going through all the sketches of the inventor. Like, that was the one time I looked at some Tim Burton sketches and I thought, I want those. I want to collect those. It literally shows you like the step by step of how he was built.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so I think he's a machine. So which means he's although whether he has a heart or not, that's a whole different podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Another bit of random Baba trivia. Did you know that Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys is in this film?
No.
Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys is in this film. At the very beginning, when Edward is being driven to Peg's house, sorry, there's like this little kid on a slip and slide, and he points, or he bangs his head, right, like trying to point it out. The kid on the slip and slide is Nick Carter.
Wow.
Yeah.
How have we not heard this until now?
Because it's just one of those things like, what? Okay. Yeah.
Oh my God. Cool. So that wraps up our episode of or our review of Edward Scissorhands, which is a first for me. So I'm kind of glad that I got to actually watch this film finally. Baba, do you want to take us out with how people can find us on socials and so on?
Yes. So we have the website, itsokguys.com, where you can find the latest podcasts and other stuff. We have the Facebook, which is at the OK Guys. We are also on Twitter. On Twitter, we are at It's Okay Guys. We also have our email, which is contact@itsokguys.com. And Itty, do you want to give us your Twitter?
Oh yeah, sure. You can find me on Twitter as Itty Shuo, ITTYSHUO.
And I am on Twitter as @intrepid_MB. I looked it up. That is correct.
It's not usually something you have to look up. But
yeah, that's the thing. It's just had it for ages. I didn't even know. I also like to give a big thanks to Planisphere Music for the intro. I did not give him a shout out on the last one because I think at that time it wasn't created. But yeah, he made the music for the intro. We really appreciate it. We thank him loads. Cheers, mate.
Thank you very much. Also, another thing to mention at the time of recording this, we have released a comedy short based on the film we last reviewed, National Treasure, which has landed on our YouTube page, which you can find if you just go over to YouTube and just search for the words moviechain. We are on there as It's Okay Guys, We've Got This.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So yeah, just me and
Afro-Skeptic.
one of the Afro-Skeptic, long-time friends of the podcast, we just kind of got together and just decided to film a quick short, and hopefully, the next short will be based on this film, Edward Scissorhands, which we are still writing as we speak. So we're quite keen to see what we come up with.
What on earth are you gonna do for this one?
We've got some ideas. We've really got some ideas. So we're just gonna keep it a surprise for everyone, and hope that it turns out as well as we think it will. But yeah, so just head over to YouTube, give us some love. Just subscribe to our channel and leave us a comment if you like it. Leave us a thumbs up and so on and so forth. But yeah, otherwise enjoy the short.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, like, comment, and subscribe, and do the same thing to our podcast on iTunes. Oh, that's something we didn't mention. You can find us on iTunes as It's Okay Guys, We Got This. And also, if you're on an Android device or any other device, you can find us on Stitcher Radio, which is sort of non-iTunes. Again, search for It's Okay Guys, We Got This.
Also, if for some reason you don't like those, you can listen to the podcast on our website.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So, as with traditional movie chain traditions, we need to pick a film for the next episode, which the audience can then happily overwrite.
Yes. So obviously we went with Edward Scissorhands, so we need a film starting with the letter S. Itty, what is your suggestion?
Star Wars! Because I want to be a douche and I want to pick a very broad title. You know what? Superbad comes to mind first, because I don't think we've actually reviewed Superbad on this version of the podcast or the old one.
I think you are correct.
Have you got any choices? Oh, Superman.
Wait, what? Man of Steel or just original Superman?
No. Original Superman.
Original Superman. Okay. I'm looking at my DVD to see what I can do.
Speed. The new Star Trek movies.
I thought you were going to say Speed 2. I was going to be like, no way.
Well, Speed 2 has come on Netflix.
But Speed number 1 is just so good. I haven't seen that in ages. I'm going to go with Speed. It is going to go with Superbad. And then if you want to overrule us, send us a tweet, comment on the Facebook, email us, comment on the YouTube video. Just get in touch. Oh, there's so many different ways. Just get in touch.
There's also Serenity. There's so many films starting with S. Sherlock Holmes. Oh my God.
Actually, I would like to change my pick to Sherlock Holmes.
Much.
I've not seen that film in ages.
All right. So you're picking Sherlock Holmes.
Yes.
I'm gonna pick Serenity. What we'll do is we'll drop a poll on Facebook. If you prefer any of those films, just let us know. If not, just send us a film starting with the letter S, and then we will go from there.
I can see that poll getting hijacked, man.
Yes.
Like with some sort of weird writing. Like, oh man.
I'll find a Comic-Con Reddit and then drop that poll in there, and they're all gonna be like Serenity. Like, we don't want to bring back Firefly.
Someone's gonna vote for like Super Mario Brothers, the worst film in the world, and just like,
actually, I haven't seen that in a very, very since it first came out. So
you don't need to. Like,
yes,
it's a Catwoman level of bad. It's terrible. Yeah.
So guys. So our picks are Sherlock Holmes and Serenity. Obviously, just hit us up on any of the socials with #moviechain and your pick for a film starting with the letter S.
Yes.
Cool. So with that, I guess we shall close off this show, and we'll see you all next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye. And we're done. So many films with the letter S.
You said film. I've got Starsky and Hutch on DVD, and I've not seen the film. I don't even know. It must have been like a squid or something. Snakes on the Plane. Sunshine.
Oh yeah, Sunshine. You've got Snakes on a Plane on DVD.
Yeah, it was like a quid. Honestly, Stephen, if I have it, it was a quid. If it's a weird film, it was a quid or less.